I appreciate that nuance, yeah. It's a thoughtful one, especially because you're accounting for where are they coming from and how do I work well to understand what may be beyond my frame of or sphere of experience or comprehension from where they're coming from, right? And that's why I think I appreciate that. That's the line you're coming from. I love this spot here because of all the multi-level things going on. One down here, this one here. Especially coming over that overpass, I look down here sometimes and think, that's a lot going on there.
The whole spaghetti of roads.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
How about you? How would you react if someone said that? Like, oh, that's not how the world works.
Mm-hmm.
Like, your understanding of the world is obviously idealistic or something like that.
It definitely is. It definitely is. I recognize I'm swimming against the tide. I'm swimming against a very strong tide. But in reality, I would account for a few different things. One, the only reason I can hold tenaciously to my perspective is based on, like you were saying, my experiences that I've come through that have led me to have this conviction that says, I'm not for sale anymore. Maybe once upon a time, it would have been more difficult for me to figure out what am I all about and what am I trying to accomplish. Now I'm very, very clear on what my purpose is, and I've gotten to this point given my past experiences. And by the same extension, how can I lend that to those individuals? And necessarily, like, it doesn't, like when they're saying this is naive or altruistic or you're just kind of a dreamer of sorts, I'm accounting therefore, again, their experiences that limit what could be on their end. So they're only able to think so far in terms of their reality, and their reality doesn't let them go to that next level of saying, well, what could be? You see, for those who are creators, who create, like, for example, a touch phone, you know, that wasn't always a thing. And once upon a time, it'd be like, yeah, that's not going to go when you have tactile buttons on a phone where you know what you're doing. Who's going to go to a screen? Kind of like, you know, those who are dreamers and who think outside of, like, they think in futuristic terms, they usually don't have a lot of encouragement. They don't have a lot of encouragement because people are wired to say, be realistic. And when we're just in the realistic realm, it seems that our creativity in some way dies. Because now you're only working with what makes sense by the consensus of numbers or influence, you know. And discouragement is a real thing, you know, to say, okay, why would I even think outside the box? Let me just fit in so that I can get through without least resistance.
Yes.
But for those of us who are just, I guess, gripped by what could be in a dreamer sense, I would propose that we say we defy the odds and we'll continue to row in this direction against the current, even if we're the only ones, because we feel compelled by what could be. We may be the only ones living in our world. We'll keep on giving invitations to those who are around. We'll, based on our abilities of communication, try to, you know, present or market an idea that others will want to be a part of. But we're still going to keep on going in that way, even if it means that we are at the derision of the world, even if it means that there aren't those who believe in us, even if it means loss of our reputation. So there's a tremendous cost or sacrifice, I think, that has been accounted for by such individuals in this zone, where they're like, yeah, I may be that, but I'll still keep on rowing that direction, you know. And I think there's a certain end in which they're aiming for and what could be when they see others come and join, and they say, yeah, welcome, you can finally experience what we're experiencing. But there's also that sense of satisfaction that you're saying, I've been able to influence others with an idea that wasn't there in the beginning. That's what marketers do, right?
Yeah,
they take an idea and they say, hey, we'll make something out of nothing. Let's just say even an idea. Let's say an idea of, we're going to wear our hats sideways, you know?
Yes.
That could be an idea that people are like, well, that's crazy. You just pull that idea out of nowhere. But the success in which, if you really believe in that concept, that you can bring something out of nothing to bring a whole bunch of people to acknowledge that something out of nothing into existence. It's a worthwhile thing. And it comes especially with more weight when you're super convicted about the necessity and the essential benefit for others. In which case, I mean, there's those who are doing it for themselves, saying, hey, this is just for my happiness. But then there's those who are like, I experience a tremendous level of happiness here, but it seems a crime for me just to enjoy this for myself. Why don't I also extend it to others? They may not see it, they may see it, but that's how I account for those who are like, maybe you're just in a dreamer's world. I'd say perhaps, but it's one worth painting. It's a picture worth painting. It's an idea worth writing about. It's a concept worth conceptualizing. It's something that is, the world would be more deficient if this idea isn't out there.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's why it compels that.
Do you mind if I quote you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
No worries. Here, I'll tell you what. And this is all going on recording. This is my in-house like security camera here. What I do, and I'll ask. Maybe I'll ask this now. For some of my conversations, I have a platform where I talk a lot about how I encourage people to connect with others in meaningful ways. If you're open to it, now this is not everyone's jam. Please say no, Hallie, if you don't feel comfortable, because I do honor that. My followers know that consent is really important for me. But if you're open to it, I'll post the video for this here. It'd be one of those conversations I'd love also for my followers to be a part of, just because it's of worth. But I only do that if you're comfortable, and
Definitely comfortable.
you're definitely comfortable.
Well,
Okay.
we'll get that out right away.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get you to sign up. This is what I call this a video release form.
Wow.
Just give me like legal consent to be able to use the video if you're comfortable with
That's
that.
very professional.
Well,
Yeah.
again, I just want to make sure my bases are covered so that everyone knows this is above board kind of thing, right? That's why I do what I do there. Yeah.
Sure.
If you're okay with that, and
Definitely.
if you're okay with it, then you said you're just picking up your skates here and going on to Oval.
Olympic.
Yeah, the Olympic Plaza. You'll need a ride there still, right?
Well.
Or do you already have one?
I was just planning to take transit because this one
Okay.
closes at 4, so I really needed to get on.
Gotcha.
But now I'm not in a hurry because I don't have to.
Just right over here, right?
Yeah.
Well, here, why don't I put this next ride on the house? I'll just go off the clock here and I'll drive down there after you pick up your skates here. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. You run in quickly and then do your thing, and I'll wait for you here, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can't do that.
Okay.
You don't mind if I leave my bag here?
No worries here. Good conversation, eh, guys? Good conversation. This is Hallie, and man, you never see these conversations coming up. But I'm glad that we get to share it with you guys. I hope you're benefited. I started the recording late because the camera was on picture taking mode instead of video taking mode, so you missed the first part where he was explaining why he wants to be an engineer, especially helping transits get better and more efficient. And I really appreciated his answers, more along the lines of he does what he does, or he wants to do what he's going to do because he thinks that's a really important part for a healthy fabric in society. So it's like, that's really cool. And here's my take. My side is an Uber driver, where I only see the one side as a driver, but I don't see the other side as a rider, which many of my riders have a plethora of experiences with so many Uber drivers, which I don't have. And I'd love to have that kind of insight on what does it look like on the other side when you're taking that. So anyway, let me pause the recording here until Hallie gets back.